3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fan Reaction Show. It is the NE29 boys. Me and Liam are here for the Fan Reaction Show. Newcastle have just drawn 1-1 with Aston Villa. Jamal Lascelles' last-second equaliser was enough to get Newcastle a well-deserved point. It has to be said from watching that 90 minutes. Villa did take the lead with 4 minutes to go. Liam Baker, great point that Bruce has to go. Great start to the show there. But, yeah, what a last 10 minutes of the game. Liam, just your initial reaction before we get people in. What a last-minute header from Jamal Lascelles. And, God, we needed that point.
I still don't think I've actually seen his goal, because at first, when it was like 93 minutes, I was just sitting playing on my phone, just waiting for the tweet to come through. And then Brandon started kicking off, seeing the score. But we should have been 2-1 up by this point, by the time Villa had scored. So it's just frustrating. Ultimately, we've dropped 6 points in the last 3 games. That's how we need to look at it. Yeah,
it's huge. It's a huge point. I think at 1-0 down with 3-4 minutes to go plus injury time, you need points. You need anything. Yeah. So a point that could be a massive point in the end. On the whole scale of things, yes, it's not great because it's a point at home against a Villa team that came for a point and got a point by the end of it. But we'll digress further on. But yeah, let's get some people on the Fan Reaction. So straight away, who is the first person, Liam?
It is Proudlock.
Proudlock, welcome to the show. A point in the end. How are you feeling after that?
Well, it's great we got the equaliser, but is it still good enough? I'm sorry, but it's not. Unfortunately, that is the thing. I mean, a lot of the game, that football was drab once again. I mean, where's the quality? There was not very much quality at all. I mean,
hey. Why have you centre forward on the wing?
Yeah, very good question.
Again, why?
And then you've got your winger on as a centre forward. like where's the logic? Do you know what I mean? Like, come on.
Exactly, and I don't get why he took Fraser off. I thought was one of our better players. I must say, Jacob Murphy, it was great to see him on. Technically, I think the lad should have started.
I agree.
In my opinion, it's a crack cross into the box. He should have scored before that. He really should have. He hit the bar.
I think as well. No, I was just going to say, probably it's a very good point you make about Jacob Murphy, because everyone was talking about a style change. Can we mix up a little bit? When you look at the Chronicle, you looked at our preview yesterday, people were saying, let's go 4-4-2, have Fraser and Murphy on the wings, play Carroll and Gale, and make it a really physical contest for Aston Villa, because they were missing Grealish. Watkins, yes, he gets the goal, but there's a lot to do with Kieran Clark's deflection. He wasn't 100% fit. We had to go for it, and he still kind of played the same formation.
Did you not see how poor Mings was against Joe Linton? Never mind Mings versus Carroll.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. I thought Shelby was dreadful tonight. I mean, his passing was absolutely horrible a lot of the time. Joe Linton, okay, he was getting well in a good position, but why is he not going for a goal?
He's selfless instead of being selfish. That's the one.
He might have an opportunity. That was what frustrated me the night with Joe Linton. He's got an opportunity to aim for the goal, and he just the wrong option. And that's my thing.
The thing is, though, Proudlock, right? Why it took till Villa to score to really change it and bring Carroll on. Why did he not do it half an hour ago?
Exactly. I mean, you bring him on with was it 3 minutes left? I mean, man. I thought 30 seconds was bad, but he had 3 minutes. I mean, it's laughable.
Do you ever think that he doesn't like playing Carroll in case he gets injured, so then he's got to make a double substitution, like he's got to substitute Carroll on to substitute Carroll off?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm thinking as well, but as I mentioned, and I could hear bits of Bruce in the ground. Joe Linton's coming for criticism? I mean, it's just, you've got to criticise him for not having the shot, and I hope he also doesn't come out with, well, I'm glad we got Lascelles got the equaliser, and that's just it. I mean, however, this is not good enough.
It's a good point about Joe Linton. It's a good point about Joe Linton, Proudlock. But he played well tonight. He did play well. We can't look. We can criticise his decision making. Decision making going forward was not good enough, but it's an improved performance. He needs to be more confident.
He does, yeah. I mean, if he knows the goal is there to aim at, do it. Then there's an opportunity. It's what really let him down the night. That was the thing. But
do you think?
We need to see wins.
Do you think Clark could have done anything about the own goal?
No.
He could have done a heck of a lot. I mean, he is trying to block this, stop it from going to goal, I must say. But I just thought a lot of the game, the football was drab. It was shocking. And there's just no real quality moment of time. And it's a big, massive game against Brighton.
Let's talk about that Brighton game, Prologue. It is the biggest game of the season. Brighton don't play till Sunday lunchtime against Southampton away. I think we're all going to have Southampton flags and scarves on on Sunday lunchtime. If Brighton don't pick up more than a point, we're still a point ahead of them. Have we got to go for all 3 points next week against Brighton to give ourselves a tiny bit of daylight? Or if I offer you a point right now, would you take it?
No, I think we're going to start looking for the wins now. I must say, if I want to pull away from that relegation, I mean, just scraping poxy draws is just not good enough. We need to start looking for wins now. That is the thing.
Who was your man of the match tonight?
Oh, tough one. I thought Fraser did well. I thought Dummett again was really solid once again. I thought some of the crosses he was put in the box were exceptional, but just shame no one to get on the end. It's a hard one.
Yeah, it's just so tough at the bottom at the minute. I'm just looking at Newcastle's next 6 fixtures. Prologue: Brighton away, Spurs at home, Burnley away. The next 2 away games are teams in and around us, and then you've got West Ham at home. They're the next 4, and then you've got Liverpool and Arsenal. The next 4 games, we've got to be getting. We're on 28 points right now. Next 4 games, we've got to be nearer 35 than 30 from those next 4 games.
Exactly, we have to be. I mean, if we want to stay in this in the Premier League for next season, that's what we're going to happen at. Brighton's to me is now it's got to be a win game. It's not going to be easy, but I think we've got to look at that. That's got to be a must-win game now.
Yeah, 100%. Prologue, you got a video on your channel tonight?
Just got to be quick thoughts out, and pay ratings will be tomorrow.
Make sure you give Prologue's video a quick thoughts and watch later on tonight in this player ratings tomorrow. Prologue, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on. I'm sure we'll have you on next week against Brighton as well. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much, Liz.
I've just seen a really controversial comment, Liam, from another Liam, Joe Linton for Shearer. Well, Joe Linton's better than Shearer. I think he might be being a bit sarcastic there, shall we say. But yeah, I think he's had too many cans of Taurus, probably, something like that. Right, let's
bring Harry in next.
Harry, welcome to the show. A late point, a point that we desperately needed when you're 1-0 down with 5 minutes to go. How are you feeling after that?
Fuming.
Why?
It's fucking shite. Sorry, excuse my French, but why do you wait until we're losing to bring Andy Carroll on? Why are we not playing a striker up front? I don't understand. I don't understand anything that happened today.
Yeah, there was a lot. Like Prologue was just saying there, Harry, that we had Gale on the left at one point, Joe Linton on the right, and Fraser down the middle. Surely Fraser should be left and Gale down the middle. It makes it a bit. It's a bit stupid, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, a lot of things you can say about Steve Bruce that are stupid, but yeah. And then to bring Ryan Fraser, who I think was arguably our best attacking player, off when we were in need of a goal, I don't get it. But the thing that baffles me the most is that everything points towards he's playing for a point. Why is he playing for a point? We need wins, not draws.
Yeah, it is surprisingly, because the 4 games that we mentioned after Manchester United, Wolves, West Brom, Aston Villa and Brighton, we were expecting some wins from that, Liam, and we haven't got it yet. And we've got 1 game left, and that game's against Brighton, which is probably the biggest game of the season now.
Yeah, like I said before, we've dropped 6 points in 3 games. We should have beat Wolves, should have beat West Brom, and we should have beat these today. And he says if the buck stops with Bruce, the buck does stop with Bruce because he's picking. Last week he picked Willock as a false 9. This week he's playing Fraser in the middle and then Gale on the wing, when Gale's not a winger and Fraser's not a centre forward, and Gale is a centre forward and Fraser's a winger. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, where's his tactical? It's not even tactical knowledge. It's about picking the right person and go in the right position.
Harry, seems to be a lot of, we huffed and puffed until we got to the final third, and it seemed that the final third we lacked so much idea and creativity. What do we have to do differently next week against Brighton to do something about that? Do we change the personnel, or do we have to just be a bit more brave on the ball? What do you think we should do next week to be a bit more dangerous in the final third?
I think, well, firstly, I don't want to pick on him because I think Joe Linton played well, but he's got to get a shot or cross away. Too many times he beats Mings and then his shot or his cross is blocked. He's got to do better with his final ball. But I reckon we should change. We need to change the formation. It's blatantly obvious. We need to play a centre forward in the centre forward position. So I quite like the idea of 4-2-3-1. Andy Carroll up front, Murphy and Fraser on the wings, balls into the box. I don't see why that hasn't been even used when he's making subs. I don't get it. But there's evidently a need in change of formation when the formation is built around our 3 best attacking players who are all out injured at the minute.
When you look at the games this weekend, Fulham have got Man City tomorrow night. You think Man City will win tomorrow? You'd like to think we'll have our Man City top side in the background. And Brighton obviously plays Sunday. We'll have to see how they get on. Burnley, I would still say, are still in the mix as well, considering we're only 2 points behind them and play the same amount of games. Are Newcastle better than all those teams? Because it seems it's going to be 1 from 4, Harry. Can Newcastle get more points than the other 3 teams?
I honestly think Fulham and Burnley are safe. That's brave. But Fulham have got such good momentum and Burnley just know how to get the results. So I think next weekend's game, it's, as you said before, biggest game of the season. It's huge.
Would you take a draw right now if I offered you it?
No, because I don't have the confidence that we're going to get the results. I don't have
that's 2 people that have said that they wouldn't take a draw right now. When you look what Steve Bruce has been doing in the last 3 games, if he changes it up, Newcastle lose, it's huge.
Because 8 points dropped in games we should have won.
Because you know what he's going to do? He'll play for a point against Brighton and say, you know what, we'll wait for our forwards to get back and then we'll try and beat Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool and Spurs.
It's huge, isn't it?
And Leicester.
Yeah.
We've got from April 24th to the middle of May, the 4 fixtures are Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester and Manchester City before we take on Sheffield United and Fulham. We've got to be okay by Liverpool. We've got to be a few points ahead of that bottom 3. But we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, there is some winnable games in there, but it's just they're coming next and at the end. So we've got Brighton and Burnley in 2 of the next 3 games. Then we've got a solid run, and then Sheffield United and Fulham. So it's them 4 games. We need to pick up points there. Otherwise, I'm seriously worried.
100%. Harry, who was your man of the match tonight?
Honestly, I'm so deflated. It's hard to pick one. Dummett played well. Fraser played well.
Lascelles not going to mention for the goal?
Sorry?
Lascelles not going to mention for the goal?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, throwing everything at it. To be fair, captain's attitude. He's dragged us out. He got us a point in the last 2 games. Well, 2 of the last 3 games where we needed it. But again, sorry, just while I'm thinking of it, our last 2 goals have been headed from crosses.
Yeah.
From the cells.
There's Andy Carroll.
Where's Andy Carroll exactly? It's a very fair point, very fair and valid point. Harry, it's been brilliant having you on. Thank you very much for coming on. We've got the whole room behind the scenes is full to the rafters, so we'll try and get everybody on as much as we can. So, Harry, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Cheers, thank you.
See you next week. I must mention before we go on, Manscaped, get 20% off any order on manscaped.com. If you use the code NFTV, you can get all sorts for any male grooming kits as well. And we have got scoring the players straight after this and the last word with Lee Lawler. Make sure that you watch these videos as well as this one. Who is next, Liam?
We have Connor.
Connor, welcome to Newcastle Fans TV. Welcome to the Fan Reaction Show. 1-1 tonight against Aston Villa. Liam's not very happy. Are you happy?
No. Relieved, because we definitely did not deserve to lose that game. The goal we conceded is unlucky, but it's the kind of thing that can happen to you when you're not scoring goals. We dominated that game for the majority of it. Actually, was surprised that on BT Sport, Joe Cole, and I can't even remember his name, the other pundit had was saying that a draw was a fair result.
I remember Rob Lee.
I mean, Rob Lee, yeah. But watching the same game as everybody else, how is it a fair result? Villa basically did nothing. Got a chance in the last few minutes, took it because they're clinical finishers. They've got someone like Ollie Watkins who gets a deflection, but at the end of the day, he's in the right position and gets the relevant contact. We just do not have that. I mean, Bruce's subs were ridiculous. We waited to nearly the 80 odd minutes before he makes a change. Why? As soon as he brought Carroll on, after we conceded the goal, the intensity almost picked up and we were getting much further forward with a lot more bodies in the box, and we eventually score. So I can't understand Bruce's logic behind these changes. Yes, Jacob Murphy puts the ball in for the assist, but like-for-like changes are not working. You need to change it up and get a more attacking impetus when you're trying to get 3 points instead of Murphy on for Fraser and then, was it Manquillo on for Kraft? They're just like changes. There's nothing going to change in the way we're playing by doing that.
See, for me, if you're seeing Joe Linton bullying Mings, you'll be thinking, who have I got on the bench that is big and strong that can bully players? And you'll be chucking Andy Carroll on as soon as he's ready. Give him half an hour, give him 20 minutes. No, you give him 6 or whatever it is, whatever it was. It just seems like he's scared to put Carroll on in case he gets injured.
I think so. I think he's trying to wrap him up in cotton wool. And at the end of the day, we have him at the club. We brought him back on a free. There was obviously a purpose for doing that, and that is to use him. Right now, our best striker is currently still out injured in Callum Wilson. I definitely think if he'd have been in the end of a couple of Joe Winton's chances tonight, I think we'd have won that game because I'm positive he'd have scored. Joe Winton, how we spent £40 million for Joe Winton. I mean, one of the very few times Mike Ashley's actually reached into his pocket, and that's what we bring into the club. It's honestly madness. But I think I said it earlier in the chat, we should have kept Ivan Toney. Why we let him go, I don't know. He is smashing it right now down in the...
Adam Armstrong as well, Connor.
Yeah, Adam Armstrong as well. They are both absolutely in hot form at the minute, and it doesn't seem that, that's the problem as well. We have good players that we don't use and then let go, and they just disappear. Matty Longstaff's another example who we spent all the time and effort signing a new contract for, and where is he? Where is he? He's nowhere. And that's because we've got a manager who's just going to pick the same players every week, the same style of play, and nothing changes. And unless
what changes would you make? What changes would you make next week?
It's difficult because it will depend on availability. As you understand,
if you have the same 11 now that Bruce had today, if you had the exact same squad that Bruce had today, who would you pick?
I'd maybe take Shelvey out, purely because the last couple of games his creativity's not been great.
Yeah.
I'd maybe take him out, and potentially, I don't know if you could have a midfield three of Willock, Fraser, and Murphy. I mean, that would be a pretty pacey midfield three. The three of them are, they can bomb it right down. That could work. I would absolutely love to see Matty Longstaff get a chance. I'd love to see Sean Longstaff get another chance.
Yeah.
But they just seem to be bench warmers at this point in time. Elliot Anderson, again, another one who seems as if he's going to be a good player, but isn't getting the relevant chances. It's difficult because you talk about this, and we all know that Bruce isn't going to change a thing. Yeah, it's still going to be the same. This gloves are off approach. Well, it's not worked because we're still not winning games. Today looked for all money as if it was going to just be a second 0-0 in a row until Villa scored, and it was like all of a sudden they went, oh yeah, we better score, and Bruce went, oh that's right, Andy Carroll's sitting on the bench, let's get him on and try and get a goal. And you're thinking, but then even in saying that about Bruce, I think sometimes the players need to take some responsibility for the way they've been playing, because up until the last couple of minutes there seemed to be a real, I don't know if it's a lack of desire or a lack of willingness to go out there and win games of football. But even when we went down, with about 3 minutes to go, we get a free kick, and instead of getting it in the box, we've passed it, then got it in the box. By that point, Villa can organise themselves into a better shape. Whereas you just get them in all day long. You get them in, and Dubravka has had to pull off a couple of saves as well. And incredibly, we could have been 2-0 down.
If you look at the manager now, look at Steve Bruce right now. What will he be thinking now? Because yes, he'd be fantastic. So he'd be over the moon with the fact that we've managed to get a point at the end, because we look like we're going to end up with nothing. But how do you think secretly he looks at that relegation battle? Because Fulham are fine. Look, they're probably not going to win tomorrow night. They might get a point at the very, very best tomorrow night. But it is getting very tantalising close. Like we could be, Brighton could beat Southampton. They could go above us, and then it's all the pressure's on us next Saturday. What does Steve Bruce think? What is Steve Bruce thinking right now in terms of this relegation battle? Does he fully believe that this squad's got enough to keep us in the Premier League?
I think he'll believe the squad's got enough. I mean, if he didn't, he should resign anyway. But if he doesn't believe we can stay up and there's not enough there, then he definitely should be going immediately. But I think Bruce is just trying to trundle us along, because I think in his mind he's thinking, if we can stay just a couple of points above Fulham by the time it gets round to us, because I think we've still got to play Fulham again. Yeah, so I think he's trying to trundle us along then and thinking, if we're in front of them by the time we play them in the last game of the season, then all we need to do is get a point or beat them and they can stay up, which is a very dangerous game to play, because they are, I mean, who thought they were going to go and beat Liverpool at Anfield? As poor as Liverpool have been at Anfield, nobody thought Fulham were going to go there and beat them. But that's the difference between us and teams like Fulham. They seize on opportunities. They realised Liverpool's perfect, and they went, Scott Parker obviously went, let's take advantage. We can get points here. I don't think Bruce believes we can get 3 points every time he sets a team out in that park, and that's a problem. When you look at the managers who are out there right now, get rid of them. Why is Ashley keeping them? It's not as if it was money, maybe, but then you can get a better manager than Steve Bruce in on the same wages as Steve Bruce, in my opinion. So he doesn't have to actually spend more money than he's spending currently. He's just too busy taking trips halfway around the world and focusing on litigation that he really needs to move away from now and find a new buyer than what's going on the park with the club. Because right now, if we go down, that massively harms any chance of a takeover, because if we go down, the value that he wants will go down. It's as simple as that. The only plus side of it going down, I suppose, every time we've been in the Championship, we've won it. But that doesn't mean we want to be there just to start winning things.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because, like I say, we want Newcastle to do well, but we don't want to be in the Championship. As simple as that. Connor, I'm going to have to get more people in, because we've literally got a full house. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you next week against Brighton.
All right, lads. We'll see you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.
Make sure you smash that like button, guys. See if we can get 150 likes today for this fan reaction. So if anything, just for that Jamal Lascelles equaliser, to say the least. Liam, who we got next?
We have Andrew.
Andrew, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good, yourselves?
Very good. I think there's a lot of frustration, Andrew, from the fans that we've spoken to so far. I would say I was relieved at the end of the game because we got something, but I'm still so frustrated because we should have gone for it. Villa came for a point. They came for a point. They were very happy with leaving St. James's point and then nearly got all 3. What do you make of the game today?
Totally agree with you. I never thought we'd get a point today, I'll be honest. I think the most disappointing thing is the manner and the point. It's just, we've managed to get a point. Had Steve Bruce brought Carroll on earlier, maybe we would have been talking about us scoring and them not having that chance. I mean, I don't know if it's just me. I put a comment on when Adam was doing the live reaction. About 2 minutes before Jamal Lascelles scored, someone had a shot at the edge of the box for Villa, and Jamal Lascelles was hiding. Did anybody else say that, or was it just me?
Is that the one Dubravka saved?
Yes, he saved it. But Jamal Lascelles went out, and then he's turned his back on it. And I was screaming at me dad, going, he's captain of the club, he's turned his back on it. Then he's went and done something like that. So maybe that's something to look into and go, maybe it's written that we are going to stay up, because the last person to score an own goal against Villa was also Irish and we got relegated. So I'm glad that we got a point today.
I completely forgot about Duff scoring an own goal in the centre down.
Andrew, don't give us horrible flashbacks like that. God, I've just got that out my head.
I was at the soccer dome watching it. Me when we went down.
Andrew, obviously it was frustrating, but I'm just going to talk about a couple of players in particular today. Joe Willock. You look at that performance from Joe Willock today. I feel like there's little signs of him wanting to, kind of let go of the handbrake, but he's almost kind of restricted to do that because the players are making the runs for him. I think he's almost like one step ahead in his mind, but the players aren't good enough to kind of read what he's doing really. What do you make of his performance today? Because I've just had a little flick through Twitter before, and it was a bit up and down with Willock, but I actually thought he was all right today.
I think the first half, I think some of the criticism aimed at him was probably earned, but the second half, I think you're totally right, Johnny, what you've just said. It's if Bruce lets the game go, and then the later the game goes, the more Joe's allowed to get forward a little bit. And like you've just said there, sometimes it's as if he's on it. He sees the game quicker than the other players. He's turning people, and they're not gambling. But because in the second half we do sit a little bit further forward, he has got someone to play the second ball onto, and in the first half he just didn't. So I think he's doing what he can do for a, what's he, 19, 20-year-old, 21?
Yeah, I think he's 21 actually. I could be wrong, but to be fair, I did the video when he signed, so I should know, but I can't remember if it's...
He's been thrown in though, hasn't he? I mean, we're in a relegation battle and he's been one of the key players since he came in, so they'll probably obviously see something and train him. There's definitely ability there, isn't it?
100%. Go on, Liam. I think
he wouldn't have signed a pro contract with Arsenal and been in the club that long if he was poor.
Exactly.
So obviously he's got something, and obviously he's just came to us to progress him and make him better for Arsenal realistically. Yeah,
Andrew, Isaac Hayden I thought was exceptional for Newcastle today. I really was. Some of the challenges he was making when Villa were kind of starting to get a bit of a foothold, I just thought he broke the players so well. But I look at Kraft, thought he was okay. I still think he's got a mistake in him. I think first half, one of his first touches went up for a throw, and I just thought, yeah, not today. And Mankier was woeful when he came on. I have to be. I know he was only on for about 5-7 minutes, but he was woeful. Do you think that do we sacrifice Hayden at right back, or do we stick with Kraft? Do we go with Mankier? It's becoming a problem position at the minute, Andrew.
I think if we're going to defend Kraft, I think you could say the goal comes from his side of the pitch after he's been taken off.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you could say...
It's his fault even though he's not on the pitch. No, I'm joking.
No. What is he's defended that side of the pitch before that point. So you could say Manquillo hasn't done as good enough job as what he has. But he never... I mean, he's a physical specimen. You look at him and you think, you've got to be quick, you've got to be strong. And I think he's pretty quick when he gets going. It's acceleration, it's sharpness. He's not very... explosive in his movement. But he's clearly not good enough for us. And I don't think Manquillo's any better. And I think that's the first position we need to look at. God forbid we do get relegated. He'll probably stay. But if we stay up, we've got to get it right back in.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, yeah, sorry, Sankassi, you need Hayden in the strongest position. Kraft did okay. I think I pretty much agree with what he said there. I would then take Kraft as bad, but it just doesn't fill me with any confidence. I don't know if he fills any other Newcastle fans with any confidence. Put them in the comments below as well. Andrew, finally, I've been asking the same question. I'm going to ask it to every fan because I think it's quite an interesting question. Would you take a point against Brighton if I offered you right now, or do you think it's a game we have to win?
I think isn't that the mentality that we're blaming Bruce for, going into games not trying to win them? If I'm in charge of obviously, if I'm a manager of a football club, I never want to go into a game thinking I'll take a draw. Under our circumstances, would a draw be a decent result? Possibly, yes. And you consider the football Brighton play. I mean, are you expecting us to have any more than 40% possession? Because I am not. We're going to have to be solid, but we are going to have to create chances. And would I take a point to answer your question? Yes, I think I would. Yes, I would. But I'd be disappointed with it.
Yeah, it's a tough one to say the least. In one word, Andrew, man of the match. 2 words, you're going to get the full name in.
I'm going to get hammered for this because I said something a couple of weeks ago. I honestly think Joe Linton, other than his end product, he worked his arse off. I think you said it's something earlier when you were talking to Liam before we went live. You know, he did everything but the final product. You know, we'll always forgive someone lacking ability at Newcastle as long as they put a shift in. And I think today he did. So I'd give it to him. Maybe Dummett. Dummett had a good game. Yeah,
fair point. Andrew, thank you very much for coming along. I'm sure we'll see you against Brighton before my tripod goes next Saturday as well. So, yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. We'll see you next
week. Take care, guys. See you later.
Liam, it's been fascinating this first half an hour or so just on everything that we've heard so far. Who's next?
I think we'll get 2 people in just to make sure we get everybody in. So we'll bring Dylan and Daniel in.
Dylan and Daniel, welcome to the Fan Reaction Show and what has been I think the first 85 minutes were pretty much forgettable. It was the last 10 minutes really. That all the talking points are coming along. Dylan, I'll start with you. 1 point gained or 2 points dropped?
You have to look at it both ways, really. Like, we stole the pint in the end, but overall, I was disappointed with the pint. I felt dejected and ecstatic at the same time with the equaliser because we have to win at this stage. It's a great pint to win, but 2 pints lost as well. So I look more on the negative than the positive with that.
Daniel, same question to you. Is it a point gain because of how late it is, or on the general whole aspect of the game, it's 2 points dropped against a team that pretty much played for a point today?
It's probably 2 points dropped, mate, if I'm honest with you. Didn't deserve to lose. If we'd lost, I probably would have found me vodka and necked the whole lot of it, if I'm honest with you. Because, I mean, like I said, it was just an absolute sucker punch, wasn't it? When, you know what I mean, Clark's done the instinctive thing to try and block a shot coming in or a header, and it's just kind of done like a Modi Army against Brighton, kind of just looped up, wrong-footed the goalkeeper, and you know what I mean? But the thing is, I mean, we should have beat Wolves. Obviously, Dubravka could have done better there. The West Brom game, we won't go into that. And again, you know what I mean? I said we could all criticise Murphy. You know what I mean? Murphy, I mean, did he have to lambast it as hard as he did? You know what I mean? He could have kind of placed it, you know what I mean, a bit higher away from the goalkeeper, but we're being critical, aren't we? But you know what I mean? It's a point, innit? It could be that point that keeps us up, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Ultimately, we've dropped 6 points in the last 3 games.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, because you've been saying that it is 6 points drop. I'm curious to what Dylan might think to that. Do you think it's what Liam says, Dylan, that 6 points dropped in the last 3 games? When you look at it, 2 points per game, obviously the Villa game, the West Brom game, as Daniel says, it was absolutely pathetic. And that Wolves game, we should have won, really, when you look back at it.
Definitely. What we did in the Villa and Wolves games, the 2 better teams, we didn't do against West Brom. We actually took the game to both of them teams. But that end product, performance-wise, we'd be fine, but the end product is killing us. And I think we'll look back at this is a real costly kind of run of fixtures. We deserve, well, West Brom, we deserve nothing, but out of the Villa and Wolves game, we deserve the wins. But when you have no end product, what can you do, really?
Yeah. Daniel, what changes would you make next week, or would you make any changes at all? Because you were speaking to Andrew in the last guest that was on about a change maybe in formation or a change in personnel. Would you make any changes in terms of how we approach the Brighton game?
I think Shelby has to come out. I think tonight, you know what I mean, it was like he's trying to like place the ball into every possible corner of the stadium because, you know what I mean, some of it went to a player, some of it, you mean, kind of, you know what I mean, went away or away from other players and all that. So, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Hendrick he will stay away from the reserve team for all I care. But you mean maybe like Matty or Sean, obviously keep Hayden in like the CDM role and then kind of have Sean, because he can go back and track back and he can go forward as well. So I'd say probably Sean, if I'm brutally honest with you.
See, I think Sean would perform really well in a team that attacks.
I think the only person, based on tonight, and I think Adam just before us, or I can't remember what his name was, but the person who probably should be on that team sheet, and we've already said it, is Joe Linton. All right, we've said about his decision making and everything like that, but what else did he do wrong tonight? You know what I mean? He had Tyrone Mings, who's an England international, on toast. You know what I mean?
It's his killer instinct, though, Daniel. We don't.
Yeah, I know, and the thing is, you know what I mean? Like I said, he done everything right. You mean it's like 99% everything was done right. It's just that last little bit. You mean? And I was saying to myself when I was watching the games that that is actually now a player is actually now starting to kind of come out from that 40 million, which is still mind-boggling, but actually watching it and actually seeing actually there is actually a player there. I mean, I've wanted him to do well the minute he turned up from the club, but I think his confidence is so shot that he's scared of making a mistake. So if he takes a shot and he misses, then he's going to get absolutely hammered on Instagram and all that kind of rubbish. But the guy actually is like putting a shift in. He's actually, not many times we've actually said Joe Linton's had a good game and all that, but tonight and again, who was it? Last against West Brom when he had their fullback on toast as well. Maybe there is actually now a player starting to kind of show why we paid that ridiculous sum of money for, if you know what I mean.
100%. Dylan, same kind of question to you with Joe Linton. Do you agree with what Daniel's saying about he's scared to make a mistake, he's scared to have a shot because of all the criticism that he gets? He's had so much criticism at Newcastle.
No.
I don't think he could get any more, if I'm being honest.
That's the thing.
Just go for the shot and just hope for the best, really.
He has to. Look, he's a striker at the end of the day, and they're the type of well, yeah, striker, but they're the chances a footballer, say that one where he had a chance, he tried to square it across to no man's land pretty much. I said to my father, he's more likely to square a ball across to literally nobody than to actually shoot on goal. He seems so frightened to actually hit one towards goal in case he scuffs it or whatever. That's and it kind of makes that. He is. Because he had a great game tonight, but his end product shows. I said his end product shows he just can't do it. He had Mings, he absolutely tormented Mings tonight. But the thing that's killing us the most, and I've mentioned it a few times now, is the end product, and it's no good when we're not getting anything out of it.
100%. Brighton is the biggest game of this season. Sorry, Daniel, I was just going to say Brighton is the biggest game of this season next week.
Massive.
Daniel, I'll let you go first. Would you take a point if Alfie do it next week?
It's hard, isn't it? I mean, you haven't lost, have you? So you kind of got to say, yes, you'd take a point, but of course we all want all three. As long as you don't lose, that's the mentality I would have. As long as you don't lose the game, and if we actually go there and have a go, you can't complain, can you? I said if we get beat 1-0 and we've absolutely dominated possession, which won't happen, and throw shots at goal, which won't happen, and like players in the correct position, which might happen, but yeah, a point gain is better than no points in my eye.
Dylan, what do you think? Would you take a point?
I think with the fixtures we have left, we have to go for a win because we have still Leicester, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. God help us. Tottenham. Thanks for that.
We'll fluke a win, you know what I mean? That's what will happen. We'll fluke a win against like Arsenal or something, or
I can see it against Tottenham. Tottenham are so hit and miss, but at the same time, we
can't even say about Mourinho not winning at St James's Park because he's won now, hasn't he, bastard?
Liam, I've asked the lads this, and you've said as well that we need 3 points. Do you think Steve Bruce will go for 3 points, Liam? Because it always seems that he's so safe and he won't change it.
No, he'll set up to draw.
Mm-hmm.
He'll set up not to lose. That's the way he'll set up.
We could have the worst team in Premier. We could have the Derby team from 2007 away needing a win. Bruce will set up for a draw that relegates us, and he'll come out and say we were unlucky, but the performance warranted a win.
Sorry, Daniel.
It's like Sheffield United, wasn't it? Obviously, that game early this season. You know what I mean? Could have gone there.
That was awful.
5 at the back.
That typified Bruce. Yeah. That I was sick of him before, but that night cemented that. Like he'll never get on the good side of Newcastle fans again. Whatever he does.
That was a tough game to watch, to say the least.
Oh Jesus!
Dylan,
I think if we play like we do, like I said, like today and against Wolves and not against West Brom, but like we did against Wolves and Aston Villa, I think we'll stay up.
When the players are back.
Yeah,
when the players
back as well.
Dylan, Daniel, it's been brilliant having you on. I'm sure we'll have you on next week for the Brighton reaction, even if it is a late one. But yeah, thank you very much especially for you, Daniel, for your positivity there. I like that at the very end there. But Dylan, great to see you as well. And we'll see you next
week. See you.
Okay, easy, buddy.
Right, Liam, who we got coming on next?
We have Holly.
Holly, hello. Welcome to the Family Action Show. I'm sure you've been watching it. What do you make of that? A point at the end. It could be a massive point. It could be a point that keeps Newcastle in the Premier League. How do you see it?
I was delighted with the point, honestly. I went into the game, I predicted 1-0 Aston Villa, and then they scored, and I was like, for God's sake, I didn't want to be right about my prediction, you know what I mean? But then when we equalised, it felt like we'd won the game. I know that might sound like a bit pathetic and stuff like that, like celebrating a point against Villa, but I was just so happy with it. And I think after that game, this is the most confident I've felt in a while about the performance, because I think we deserved that point as well. If we had lost that game, I think it would have been harsh because we did play decent.
Yeah, I thought we did play much better than we did against West Brom, which wasn't difficult, was it, Holly? And you look at maybe Joe Linton, if he was a bit more clinical and a bit more, his decision making was a little bit better, Newcastle probably could have had 1 or 2 very, very good chances and maybe could have scored early on. But Ryan Fraser seemed to be a big difference this week. I thought he was okay last week, but what did you make of his performance?
I think that's one of the best performances he's had for Wales. Like, he tried really, really hard. He was decent. So yeah, I was impressed with Ryan Fraser, and that's what I wanted to see from him for a while, because I was always saying, like, he comes on and he just looks like he's not bothered and like he's not putting in 100% effort. I didn't believe, but today I think he did that, and so I was happy to see it, and I'd like to see him get some more game time and hopefully he can step up to the mark, because we are lacking in the attacking positions.
Liam, what did you make of Ryan Fraser tonight?
He was a lot better than what we've seen him. I think he was going to be the player that would make the difference. He was like the sort of the playmaker in that front three, wasn't he? But I think playing him as a false nine, oh no, was he a false? Yeah, a false nine is not his favoured position, so I don't understand. It seems like he's hampering players' performances by playing them in the wrong positions. Like Gale would have been a better centre forward, and obviously Fraser is naturally on the wing, so it's just Bruce doesn't help these players.
Holly, John Joe Show's been getting a lot of criticism. Do you think his performance is as bad as what people are making out?
Over the past few weeks, yes, I think he's been poor and he hasn't been trying at all. He's been very lazy, not running, and even his passing's been off. And normally he's the best passer of the ball at the club, I think. But today, I think he did okay. Like, he was trying and he was actually running for once, which I was happy about because normally he just doesn't want to run. And his passing was okay. I don't think it was brilliant, but I certainly wouldn't complain about him.
No, definitely not. I thought it was okay. I don't think he was brilliant. I don't think it was the same kind of performance that he did against Wolves. But yeah, I don't think he's as bad as what people are making out. Just in my personal opinion, he had his moments, but he always does, doesn't he? Brighton, huge game. Jacob Murphy, obviously hit the post. He's got the assist from his cross for Jamal Lascelles. From his performance tonight, do you think Jacob Murphy's really knocking on the door, Holly, or do you think Bruce will go with Joe Linton, Fraser and Gale?
I don't think he'll start Jacob Murphy. I think until he got that assist and stuff in the last few minutes, I thought he didn't do that well. To be honest, I thought he was pretty poor. So I know he did well in the end, but it wasn't for very long, and he's got to be a bit more consistent throughout the game. So I think he'll stick with the 3 that he had today, and I wouldn't be too disappointed. I was happy to see him come on though, because it was important that we changed up that attacking threat that we had, because it clearly wasn't working because we couldn't put the chances away.
Yeah, it's we're not going to get many chances next week, Holly, because Brighton will have a lot of possession. It's going to be a case of, right, can we counter-attack Brighton next week? Have we got the players to really give Brighton problems next week?
Our squad's okay. It's not a bad squad, but it's just the front 3 that are the problem, because obviously we're starting front 3 all out and they won't be back for that game. So we just can't score goals, which is the problem for the past few games, because I think we could have won those last couple of games if we had someone that could score goals, but we haven't got that. I don't think we'll get beat off Brighton. I think we'll get at least a point, but in an ideal world, you'd want to go for all 3, because I think that's probably the game this season where you think we are most likely to get the 3 points out of any of the others.
Who was your man of the match tonight, Holly?
Paul Dummett. I gave it to him last week as well. I've given it to him a few times lately. I just think he's really stepped up. He's someone that brings us stability in the back, and that's what we need, especially when we're in a scrappy relegation battle. Jamal Lewis, he hasn't been that great. He had a good season at Norwich, and there's definitely a player in him, but I don't think he's what we need at Newcastle right now, because he's someone that is better suited to someone that kind of wants to play more attacking, and that's just not something that we can really do at the moment with the problems that we have. He's not defensively solid, and I'm so happy that Dummett's just brought some stability to that, and I just think he's a solid, well-rounded defensive player, and I'd stick with him for the rest of the season.
Do you agree, Liam, with Holly about Paul Dummett? Because I certainly do agree. I think Jamal Lewis, yes, is a little bit better going forward, but in the games for example, Brighton, Burnley, Aston Villa, West Brom, Wolves, Paul Dummett's more safe, and he will give you a bit more protection.
I think Dummett's probably I think even on tonight's performance, some of the crosses he was putting in, I didn't think it was Dummett crossing them. I was thinking who is this crosser of the ball? But I think what Dummett is, if you can cross a ball, he's going to be our best left back, which he obviously has done tonight. So for me, it's Dummett for the rest of the season.
Yeah, fascinating to say the least. And final question, you kind of spoke about it a little bit already, Holly, but if I gave you a point next week, would you take it?
Yes, I probably would, but in an ideal world, you'd want to get all 3, because like I said, I think that's one of the only games this season that I would feel confident that we could probably get the 3 points. It's just the fact that I don't think we'll be able to score the goals to do that. If I predicted, I'd probably say it would be a 0-0, and it wouldn't be the worst result in the world, because if we do keep picking up points here and there, we should hopefully be able to have enough to stay up, maybe. And that's the first time I've said this in a while, because a few weeks ago I was like, we're down. But I feel a little bit more positive now, just as long as we don't get beat.
It'll be a huge game next Saturday night, 8 o'clock, and we'll have the Fan Reaction Show back for that as well. So we'll probably see Holly, because Holly, you are a regular now in a lot of different channels, so I'm sure we'll see your reaction next week. Holly, it's been brilliant having you on, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
See you later.
Bye.
Holly's a bit more confident. Liam, are you confident we can stay up before we get the next guest on?
I'm confident. Like, I am confident we'll stay up, but like, I'm not, if that makes sense. I like, the heart says we're staying up and the head says, "No, you're daft, you." Sort of thing.
I would never call you daft, Liam. I never call you daft, I tell you. Who we got next, mate?
We got Scottish Chris.
Scottish Chris, another Scotsman. How are you doing, Chris?
Johnny, good to see you. It's been a while.
Very good, mate. How are you?
Aye, been better, but aye, good.
What did you make of that? Because it was nervy towards the end when Villa scored, and you're just thinking, oh no, we've done all right considering how bad we've been playing in recent weeks, and we just haven't scored, and we just haven't had any killer edge. And then obviously Kieran Clark, very unlucky, didn't do anything wrong. It's just he probably stuck his leg out and it's gone in. Were you fearing the worst at that point?
Yeah, I thought Watkins took it well, but again, it was a poor deflection of Clark, who's, when he stepped in, he's been good. He's been one of the best defenders. Present it now, Johnny. Nice one.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
It's been a while, but I've been watching. It's been a while.
I know. It seems like a long time ago when you used to go to the
Lascelles has got to sign him up, Steve Clark.
That seems like a long time ago. What did you make of the captain's performance?
I stuck in, did what he needed to do, and buried the goal, didn't he? So it shows that there's a bit of belief there, as much as Bruce is concerned. But you know, he's still doing his job. Two-headed goals in a couple of games now.
Two-headed goals, obviously the goal against Wolves from Fraser's cross, and then obviously tonight from Jacob Murphy's cross. He's becoming a bit of a goal-scoring legend now. He's keeping us in the game.
It's been a couple of years since he got a couple when the England call up and all that, but he's doing all right.
I think it's interesting though, because he is our captain, and he obviously he is a leader. I do think that, but me and Sam in particular have spoken the fact that we just don't get a lot of consistent performances from him, and we're seeing that at the minute. He's been a real rock at the back, and he's getting a few goals.
Defenders a bit, but to stick, go up and get counter attacks, set pieces, but it's his defending that's the worry, and his leading is not the same as what it used to be.
Oh, 100%.
He used to get everybody to tell in the dressing room what he thought of them, but it's kind of died down a wee bit.
It has done, and Liam, we've needed a Jamal Lascelles kind of leader in this back four when we've got difficult games. We need him more than ever now, because again, the next 6 games we've mentioned are very, very difficult on paper. If Jamal Lascelles stays fit, Liam, do you think that we can stay up with him there? Because if we don't have him, I do feel slightly worried.
Yeah, I think if Lascelles stays fit, he's an average defender, but I think he's always got that threat from set pieces, hasn't he? Like, what was it? Was it a corner the day or a free kick? Because it seemed like there was an awful lot of people in the box.
Cross. It was just a cross. It just got
cross. 23, Murphy.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this is where we're going to get the goals from when Wilson's not there, is by crosses, like set pieces and things like that, because I think that's where we've got the most attacking threat.
Chris, would you start Jacob Murphy next week?
Yeah. On one fact, well, 2 facts. He's got the same second name as my partner, and we started going out on the 23rd.
Hey, it was just written in the stars. It was written in the stars that
number
23.
Also, on a serious note, the ball in against Gale against West Brom, 2-0, and that cross tonight, brilliant.
Yeah, don't tell Sam Muller than that, because he'll keep on saying that he doesn't cross anymore. Anyway, no
23, Murphy.
Yes, definitely. do you think Steve Bruce should still be manager? Because again, there's still a couple of fans are criticising the fact that he made late substitutions, but it seems like we're almost past that stage now with Steve Bruce, don't we?
No, I'm still in the Bruce out camp. I have been for a while. Been watching the videos, been watching the link up, been watching other Twitter feeds and stuff, but I'm still Bruce out. He seems to think he'll pull it off. Well, we've not got any other option, so you know what I mean?
Fingers crossed. Do you think the Newcastle got enough to stay on?
Beginning of April, we get the 3 back, so that's what I'm actually hoping for. That's kind of it. Ryan Fraser, obviously, you know, getting in there.
He's not Scottish. He's not Scottish.
You sort of hope the 3 that come back hit the ground running. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously when ASM came back, he was a bit slow for a couple of the first 2 games, so you sort of hope to come back and just...
Johnny knows. Almiron's Scottish, sign him up.
I know. I think that video got about 20,000 views back in the day, Liam, believe it or not. We were doing a player rating. Yeah, we were doing a player ratings when Newcastle beat Huddersfield a couple of years ago, and me and Fordy were doing the video, and this little Scottish guy behind me was saying, "Get Almiron's Scottish." I think he must have had a few brown ales beforehand, but 20,000 views or something. So yeah, definitely. It seems like a long time ago, actually, but it probably isn't that long ago. But
Johnny, as humble as you were that day, I must say.
Well, you're very kind. You're very kind. Last question, Chris, before we get the next couple of people on, or the next person on. Brighton, been saying this to everybody. This is the question of the day. Would you take a point next week if I gave you right now?
No, I would take the 3. I'll tell you why. I'm going to set up the same scene that I had when it was 2-1 in the Championship against Brighton. I'm going to get my sister-in-law down here. I'm going to get a Domino's spicy pizza in and cheeky Vimtos. So we're winning 2-1.
I think Liam, you'll have to definitely get that. You know a good couple of pizza shops in Shields, don't you?
Definitely, yeah.
That's on next week's show anyway. Chris, thank you very much. Lovely to see you.
2-1 next week.
Yes, definitely. We'll see you next week, my friend.
See you later, pal.
See you later, man.
Before you get the next person on, Liam, what pizza shop you go to in Shields?
I think it's Miami Pizza, you know, the one opposite YMCA.
Miami Pizza?
I think that's the one.
I've heard of Pizza Corner and Pizza Attic, but I've never heard of Miami Pizza.
Yeah, there's Miami Pizza as well. I think that's what it's called.
Right, who we got next?
I'll be bringing 2 people in just to make sure they get in, and it's going to be Paul and Westy.
Paul and Westy. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you very much for being patient. I don't know how long you've been waiting, but I know it's tough because we've had so many people tonight, so thank you very much for coming along. Paul, we'll start with you. It's such a mixture of emotions because of how late we scored the goal. How is your overall feeling? Because I feel a bit up and down after the last hour or so.
It was an up and down game, but then it's one of them when you're seeing someone like Joe Lynn who's been getting slagged left, right, and centre. He had no right game today, so I always take that as a positive. And then we had Lewis for the last few weeks, he's been getting slagged. Drummond, outstanding at the back. So you've got to look at the positives. There was 2 positives there tonight. Them were the 2 positive players.
100%. Westy, Paul saying about Joe Linton's performance tonight. If he scored a goal, I think a lot of people said that's probably one of his best performances in a black and white shirt. But he's missing that goal. Even Steve Bruce was talking after the game. He needs to get that goal now. He's putting some half-decent performances in. If he can keep on doing what he did tonight, when he gets the goal, he'll be a hero. Imagine if he scored the winner next week, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I write the articles for Newcastle Fans TV, and I came up with one line in it, which I'll share with you now. If Joe Linton were a gymnast, he'd lose points on his landing because, he did everything right. He did absolutely everything right in that build-up, and he just needs to finish. I could almost hear Newcastle fans around the country just screaming at the TV like I was. I was just like, shoot, why didn't you shoot? and he just needs to finish it. I don't know if he's lacking confidence or something, but he just needs to finish that shot.
It is that final chance, isn't it, Paul? That killing, cutting edge. And some people are born with it, and some people are not. You look at Newcastle players or Newcastle strikers in the past. Demba Ba had it, in my opinion. When you look at recent strikers, I would even say maybe obviously everyone can talk about your Alan Shearer's, Les Ferdinand's. You're obviously not going to put him in that sort of category. But he's almost like a Shola Amiobi in a way. He doesn't have that killer cutting edge. It's not in his locker really. He needs more and more chances for Newcastle to get goals if he's going to score them, doesn't he?
I think if you're being honest about Joe Linton, he's never going to ever be an out-and-out goal scorer. He's not that type of player. He does play better out wide on a wide of a three, out wide on the right. And I think with this number 9 shirt, it's never, ever, ever going to help him. And the signing on fee was never going to help him. And his wages and all this. And then he's came to a club where he's new. He's never played in this league before. The manager didn't know him. Let's be honest.
He didn't buy him, did he?
No, he didn't buy him. And then now, the last few games, he's played wide and right, and I think he's played better.
100%. Westy
had Mins in his back pocket.
Oh, he did. England international, and that's got to give him a little bit of confidence.
First half, definitely better.
He had Mings in his pocket, like he ran him ragged, didn't he? But I don't know. I think going back to what you're saying, it's not a striker. I have to agree. I think maybe more of an attacking right midfield role where because he can get down that right hand side and he uses his strength and his pace quite well. And sometimes when he's on the ball, he actually looks Brazilian. You know what I mean? He'll take on some players and he'll get into that final third. But like I was saying earlier, just that last effort, what he needs to do. He does
on the left hand side.
What was that? Sorry, pal.
I'm saying you've got Gale on the left hand side, so he's on the right hand side. He's getting the ball in, and Gale's on the left hand side. You've got Fraser in the mix up with two massive centre halves.
A striker though would look for goal.
Yeah, but Paul, this is a really interesting point. This is a really interesting point. I'll ask you this, Paul. Why was Dwight Gale playing on the left hand side and Fraser was playing in the middle as a false 9? Why would they not just switch after like 20 minutes if it wasn't giving them anything? Because I felt sorry for Gale. Like, he played the whole 90 today, but I can't really remember him having a chance on goal. And that's what you need. You need Dwight Gale to be in the box and have chances on goal because, he is in terms of in Championship, he's a natural goal scorer. He will get you 20 goals guaranteed. Premier League, he's probably most likely to get you a goal with the options that we've got left. And you need him in the middle of the park. You need him in the box, 6 yards out, 10 yards out, because he will put it in the net.
I can't even remember him having a touch of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Can you, Paul?
No. And the most frustrating thing is Steve Bruce has always come out and said, "Oh well, I've always wanted him when I've had other teams." But then you've wanted him, but you're playing him left hand side.
I would love to know what he was doing when he was watching him.
I can't understand it. I can't.
Brighton next week. Biggest game of the season, biggest game for Steve Bruce, biggest game for Newcastle's future. Obviously, we've seen the quotes about the arbitration with the takeover or non-takeover, whatever you want to call it. I'll put it out there. I think Fulham will go above Brighton and Newcastle before the end of the season. Brighton, I'm not too sure will go above Newcastle. But if they keep on playing the way they did against Leicester, for example, Westy, they will pick up points. They will pick up a win, what I call a stupid win, like a Newcastle beating a Man City a couple of years ago, a Newcastle beating a Man United or a Chelsea. How do we make sure that we come out with 3 points against Brighton next week?
We need to play attacking. I mean, we need this game. We saw loads of balls being crossed into the box, and I mean, Joe Linton was there, but he's not with that striker's instinct. Get big Andy Carroll in there. Get him in on that centre circle. Ball comes in theory, obviously. Ball comes in, and he should be there. I mean, he's the only one that can get up there. I mean, We had Dwight Gale and Ryan Fraser in the box sometimes when Fraser weren't crossing, but they're not. They haven't got that presence like Andy Carroll has, and we need him to bully defenders in front of him and just open up that chance. Because the others, I mean, yeah, Dwight Gale played in his proper position, played in a false 9, but yeah, I think we need strikers in the proper position anyway, and Andy Carroll definitely for me gets the nod.
Paul, would you take a point against Brighton next week?
You what, sorry?
Would you take a point against Brighton next week if I gave you it right now?
Yeah, asked us about Aston Villa, I would have said definitely yes, but you need the points now because, like you said, there's other teams who are playing good as well, full of on form, so you need to get the 3 points.
Wesley,
you've got to go with experience now.
Yeah, Wesley, the same question to you. Would you take a point next week if I give you it right now?
It's got to be all or nothing. 3 points, got to be
all or nothing. We've heard that in a documentary somewhere, haven't we? We'll leave that on for another day.
Quick question: who do you think's more important to come back quicker, Miggy, ASM, or Wilson?
Wilson, every day of the week and twice on a Sunday.
Wilson.
Yeah.
He's our goal threat. He is our goal threat, Liam. And we've seen him, obviously, we've been debating him, how important he is. 10 Premier League goals. The next person's Miguel Almiron with 4 Premier League goals. Next person with that is 2 goals for Alan Saint-Maximin and Jamal Lascelles now.
And
that's
Hendrick.
why he's so important. And Hendrick, yeah, that's why he's so important.
Don't forget the Irish God.
Things we're still getting chances created for us.
Yeah.
So I mean, Almiron and Saint-Maximin, they're brilliant to watch, but we need that finisher. We need Wilson back, so it'd absolutely be Wilson for me.
Yeah, 100%. Paul, Westy, thank you very much for coming along. I'm sure we'll see us next week against Brighton, but thank you very much and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you again, lads. Thank you.
No worries.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks, lads. Bye.
Have we got any more, Liam?
It's just us two, pal.
Just us two?
Yeah.
We'll have 5 minutes with us too, and we'll get the lads on for the family action for the score and the players. You made a very good point there about Miggy, ASM, and Wilson. Who would you say is the most important person? Listen, would you agree with what me and Westy said about Wilson?
Yeah, I think you need that striker, don't you? A striker that's got you 10 goals this season already, and we haven't been playing a good team. We haven't been playing well, should I say? Then we need him because he's probably if Callum Wilson had the chances that Joe Linton had in West Brom and who Aston Villa. There was Andy Aragon. I've got it already. We would have probably been 2-1 up, 2-0 up. Do you know what I mean? We probably would have won them 2 games. So yeah, who would you say behind Wilson? Would you rather have ASM or Miggy?
It's a really good question, Liam. Miggy, ASM probably on his day. If he's on it, we're probably missing more. But consistently, Miggy Almiron gives you a lot of stuff going forward, a lot of stuff coming back, and I think we would miss Miggy more. It depends on the game because next week against Brighton, ASM, if he's on it, could be the difference. ASM's probably a better player than a Newcastle versus Brighton sort of game. I hope you understand what I mean by that.
Yeah.
But it's such a difficult one next week. It really, really is. For me, if Almiron was fit out of the two, then I'd be a bit more happier because he gives you that energy in midfield, and you possibly could drop someone like a Shelby, who a few fans have said haven't played well, and you can put Hayden and Willock together and give Almiron the license to do what he likes. But it's fascinating when you haven't got those 3 players because we look really, really lacklustre with the cutting edge. Like there was so many times I was just getting so frustrated, throwing the pillows all over, and the cushions all over in the flat because I was just getting so annoyed. But yeah, it is fascinating to say the least what's going to happen in the next 7 days because it is Newcastle's biggest game of the season. Are you confident for next week?
I'm confident. The thing is, though, I'm confident the players can get the results, but I'm not confident the players would. I'm not confident Bruce will play the right players, if that makes sense. I think I would start 4-4-2 keep the same back five, obviously Dubravka and the same back five that we had previously. Have Murphy and Fraser as wingers, Hayden and Willock centre mid, and then Joel Carroll and Gale up top. I think that's what you've got to do. You've got to try and get your two best strikers that are fit on the pitch.
Why do you think a lot of Newcastle fans want Andy Carroll to start more games?
Because I think when he comes on, he hassles defenders and he seems like a threat. If we're going to put a ball in, he's the threat that's going to put it in the back of the net. It's not going to be Joe Linton. It's going to be Andy Carroll. And I think when he comes on for when he's actually had a decent run, when he's had a 20-minute spell, which is obviously once every 7 years, he runs all over. Like he defends. He's in the midfield. He's trying to make things up front. I think maybe just because he's a Geordie as well, and you can see when he comes on the pitch, he's trying to battle for everything.
Yeah, he does. He does try and battle for everything. Steve Bruce, I don't think he would have taken 3 points from the 3 games that we've had before or after the Manchester United game, Liam. The most we can get is 6 points from those 4 games, which is still probably in my prediction is still below par. I said par was about 7 to 8 points.
Yeah.
So the fact that the most you can come away with is 6, it's still not good enough, but it might be enough in terms of being above Brighton and Fulham.
Yeah. I think like I've been saying all the way through this video, we've dropped 6 points. Yeah. Yeah, 6 points, I think. Yeah, because we've looked 20 games. Yeah, 6 points. And that 6 points would have been clear, would have been above Burnley right now. And I don't know if we would have been above the team above Burnley. So it just goes to show you, like, if you've got a terrible manager and that manager picks a team, like a formation that's built for players that aren't there, then you're never going to do anything.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And, you know, I think we've been harping on about this Brighton game, and the team selection needs to be right for the Brighton game. The substitutions, everything needs to be right for this Brighton game. I don't care if the performance is awful that we come out with a result. I think next week it's all about the result and not the performance, Liam. We can moan about performances at the end of the season, but it's so vital that this result is in our favour. Yeah,
I would literally be happy if we got a deflection.
Oh, like a Diarmi, for example.
Yeah, you know, if the wind blew it in the back of the net, or like a beach ball and went in the back of the net, like I really couldn't care less as long as the ball goes in the back of the net. Obviously, the other team's net, not our net. But
I'll take the same sort of performance and result against Brighton that we did a few years ago in the Championship. Oh my God, that Diarmi goal. I
still don't think we've actually replaced Diarmi. Do you know what I mean? You know, when he was playing as a centre defensive midfielder, like he was just all over the place. And I know Hayden and him are slightly different players, but it seems like we haven't actually replaced him.
I know. Well, thank you for everybody that was coming on tonight. We've got scoring the players in the next 2 minutes with who's on tonight? Is it Carl, Brandon, and Matt, isn't it?
It's Carl, me, and Matt now.
Oh, Brandon, what have you done? But yeah, make sure that you stick with Newcastle Fans TV for scoring the players. If you want to see more of Liam and his beautiful dressing gowns, by all means do that. Yeah, thank you very, very much, everybody that's been on the show. If you can smash that like button, that would be fantastic as well. I'll try and get to 150 likes for this video. We've also got the last word with Lee as well at 12:15 in the morning. So Lee's doing the night shift tonight, and then it's the same thing again next Saturday night. Just over a week away when Newcastle take on Brighton. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, so it will be around about 10:30 for the fan reaction show. So from myself and from Liam, who's gone to get a pizza from North Shields.
Oh no, I'm still here. I was just unplugging my charger.
We'll see you all very, very soon.
See you later.